Hi students, we are continuing with the online videos of class 9 History and Civics. Today we will discuss with the 7th chapter of history, that is medieval India, the Cholas. So here we are going to discuss mainly about the Cholas. There were three main South Indian kingdoms were there. One was Cheras, the other was Pandyas and the Cholas. And the most powerful among these three was the Cholas. And we will discuss about some of the Chola kings and their administration. And first of all, we should know what were the main sources. In every chapters we learned the same. The sources to know about the Cholas. First one is inscriptions. What are inscriptions? Inscriptions are a written piece of documents. Inscriptions are some written piece of documents. And what are these documents written on? These documents were written on copper plate, stone inscriptions, and other inscriptions like wall and pillars. So there were three types of inscriptions were there. One is wall inscription, stone inscription, and other one was copper plate inscriptions. And these inscriptions which found or which gave idea about the Chola kingdoms, they mainly give ideas about the administration of Chola kings. Okay, so mainly you concentrate about the three types of inscriptions. One is copper plate, stone inscription, and wall and pillar inscriptions, which are seen in temples. Okay, and this, see, there is a set of copper plate inscriptions contains copper sheets, 31 copper sheets. These plates are written in Sanskrit and Tamil language. They record the grant made to the temple by Rajaraja Chola first. Okay, that he was one of the most powerful king of Chola dynasty. And the inscriptions provide what ideas or what knowledge do we get from the inscriptions? First one, about the Chola administration. Chola administration, about the village administration, taxation and land revenue. Second one, it gave knowledge about the donations they gave to the temples, gift to the brahmanas and endowments to the temples. Third one, they inform us about the construction of a temple, the setting up of new image of deity. How did they construct, the method they use, and what is the deity of that particular temple, the god. Fourth one, some inscriptions have royal orders on taxation and land revenue, resolutions of village assemblies, judgments delivered against persons guilty of theft, murder, and other crimes. What are the fourth types? These are the laws or declarations of laws and regulations or decisions made by the king and the assemblies. It is displayed on various places. Inscriptions on temples walls served the purpose of public registrations, such as record of sales, mortgages, and other forms of transfers of property right in village land. Then, one of the most important work of Chola dynasty was the Bhagavad-Gita Temple. Okay, one of the most important work. The Cholas built a number of temples. The gateway of temple was called, and they followed a particular method of building temples. And by seeing or by understanding these methods or these particular forms, we can understand that these temples were made in the time of Chola period. And what the first one? The temple had an entrance called Gopuram, and the main shrine was known as the Garbhagriha. Okay, and the mandapa, the audience hall was there. Then the chief feature of Chola temples are their massive vimanas. Vimanas, we can say domes. Okay, and spacious courtyards. Best example for such a type of a temple is the Bhagavad-Gita Temple, also known as Rajarajeshwara Temple, dedicated to Lord Shiva. It is located at Tanjavur and built by the Chola king Rajaraja first. It was the best specimen of Dravidian style of architecture. Hope it's very clear for you. Then rest things you can read about what are the main things, that is, or the main constructive works that are added in this particular temple. And we should know about the political history of uh, Chola dynasty. That's the most important. Chola ruler Vijayalaya established Chola rule in Tamil Nadu and Tanjavur as his capital. And this was mainly, which was the area Tamil Nadu. The present Tamil Nadu was the area of that is the area of Dravidians. Okay, that area mainly they concentrated on those area. And what was the capital of Chola kingdom? Tanjavur. Okay, after his death, his grandson Parantaka first became the king. He conquered Madurai and defeated Pandyas. But these kings were not so famous. Okay, these kings, the founder and others were not so famous. But the Chola kingdom became famous with the Rajaraja first and his son Rajendra Chola. Okay, about those things. About Rajaraja first. Now first we will see about Rajaraja first. Rajaraja first was a brilliant general and campaigned in many directions. He attacked the kingdoms of the Pandyas and the Cheras as well as parts of Mysore. Rajaraja annexed the parts of Deccan and overran Vengi. He did this in order to prove the strength of the Chola. Okay, so you can read all these things. This is about just a history about Rajaraja first and Rajendra Chola. So you can read all these things. Now we will see the Chola administration. Okay. The Chola administration system was highly organized and very efficient. The king was the pivot and administration of all the authority rested on him. And the king was the center. All the powers rested on the king. Okay. Central administration. The king was the most important person in the Chola administration, or as all the authority was vested in him. But he had council of ministers to advise him. So there was king at the center and there was council of ministers. The king often went on tours in order to keep the check on the administration. What tours? It doesn't simply means these are tours. And king in disguise, changing his shape and dress. Shape we cannot say, changing his dress or look. He roamed in the towns and villages to know whether how the people, whether they are happy or not. The officers were paid by giving them assignments in revenue bearing lands. The princes were associated with the ruling sovereigns and actively employed in peace and war. The central government looked after external defense, internal peace and order, promotion of general prosperity and cultural progress of the empire. So that is about the central government. Then there was another, as we have state government, there was provincial government. The Chola empire was divided into mandalams called or provinces. These were further divided into Valanadu and Nadu. Princes of the royal family were appointed governors of princes. Local self-government. The Chola were good administrators. They believed in local self-government. In many of the villages, the administration was carried out not by the government officials but by the villagers themselves. That means villagers themselves, they had their own assembly, their own head, and they organized the administration of that particular village. Okay, now then what is common about that village assembly is known as Ur or Sabha. Okay, the Ur was the common type of assembly of villages where land were held by the class of the people who were therefore members of the local assembly. The Sabha was an exclusive Brahmin assembly of villages where the land belonged to the Brahmanas. Sabha is the assembly of Brahmins. Okay. The Nagaram was an assembly of merchants and belonged to the villages who owned land were chosen by the vote to the council. Okay, you can read this. The temple in the Chola kingdom was the central social activity. The temple was the center of every social activity. It was not only a place for worship, but it was a place for where people gathered together. It was also a center of learning. Temple was a center of learning. Some temples owned huge lands and participated in inland and overseas trade. The lands donated to the temples were known as Devadaya or Devadana. That means given to the Lord. Okay, given to the God. That's what is known as Devadana. In some cases, instead of giving lands to the temple, land revenue, a portion of land revenue was given to the temple. Instead of giving land, a huge amount is given to the temple. The temples were also biggest employers after state providing work and means of livelihood to large number of people. The temples used to take care of the welfare of its workers by providing food, clothing, housing facilities, and by arranging proper education and establishing hospitals. Okay, and the students learned, and temples also were the center of education, as I said already. And the students learned here. The Brahmanas were the teachers, the priests of temples were the main teachers, and the students learned these lessons. Their lessons in what language? Sanskrit and Tamil language. The religious teaching was Sanskrit, since text was such as Vedas had been studied. So students learned Tamil, the language which was widely spoken in by the people. And what were the main revenue source? The revenue of the Chola kingdom came from taxes on land and the produce of land and the tax on trade. Part of revenue was kept for the king, the rest used for the public works. Okay, and from where did they get the revenue? The revenue was mainly depended on taxes on land and produce of the land. And more the half part or the 40% of the part of the revenue was kept for the king, the rest part spent for the welfare of the people, for the building of roads and other things. And the